All right, good morning, folks. Welcome, House Edge Live with John from ProCraps on Casino Gaming TV. I'm trying something new this morning. I'm not sure how this works. I was mucking around with the chat, and I've got this like questions area, and I've got the poll, of course, and so I put a question up there. I may turn it into a poll later on today, but let's just talk about it a little bit when we get into the show here, which is going to be really wanting to know a little bit about how often you're up when you go. That's kind of what I'm asking for. I'm on the wrong screen. Let's go here. Boom. There we go. All right. I realized this morning, by the way, that I screwed up the shows this week. Everybody's in chat going, where are we? You know, he's late again. And the show's supposed to start at 7:30 Pacific time. For some reason, I set them all up this week at 7:15 Pacific time. So that's why you're all here early, and I'm always getting here late. I realized it this morning, like, oh, geez, he dumb. I was up there having my coffee. I come running down here to get the show started because I realized that I had the timer on them wrong. The show will be at 7:30 my time, 10:30 East Coast time from now on. I starting Monday. I just messed up. So sorry about that. 7:30 start time. That way we can all be on the same page. All right. I don't know about you all, but before we get into craps talk here today, I spent, how many of you in chat, just put your hands up, watched the Brian Koberger stuff, the testimony from the families yesterday? Did anybody watch that? I was captivated by that. We watched all 3 hours of that. Just fascinating to watch that whole thing play itself out. And you can't help but like put yourself in their situation, man. That was a really tough watch yesterday. But I'll tell you what, the father and the sister, the Gonsalves family, holy crap, man. It's weird, like how people process this stuff. When you watch that, like some of the family members were still in intense grieving. They were just pissed, and they let him have it. And the daughter, her sister, man, she dug in, and she pulled out some psychological like haymakers on him. It was great. Anyway. Super fascinating, and I burned half my day watching that yesterday. But anyway, let's talk about fun stuff. Let's get into craps over here. Let's talk about the bridge. And remember, I say this every day, and I think what's funny about this is that people definitely have their opinions on this, whether I'm right or wrong. And today's question sort of talks through that with you. If again, look at the question of the day in the chat. I think if you go to the top, you'll see the drop down list. I'm not sure how it works, if they show up in chat or how that thing works for you all. But anyway, having bankroll is important, and I see that in the chat. Dr. S puts out, never go to craps without a ladder. Right, that's his point. I disagree with the point, but that's okay. Right, and we say this all the time. How you view risk is different than from how I view risk. Right? I don't want to risk massive bankroll trying to ladder up after losses. I just don't resonate with that. Or doesn't resonate with me. I don't play that way. I don't like to put that kind of money out there for a tiny win. Typically, I don't do that. Although I understand the logic. I understand the feeling. I understand the why behind it. It's just not my way. Okay? Now, the bridge concept is all about you understanding your way and making your way work better for you than it maybe has been in the past, right? Know what your bankroll is, know what your risk levels are, what you're comfortable with, right? Identify opportunity. My question in chat today, which is, in what percentage of your trips to the casino are you ahead at some point, right? When you're ahead, that's opportunity, okay? And there's two opportunities there. One, to lean in. Because you're ahead, you can use that casino money, your profits, whatever you want to call it, to hammer them with. Beat them with their own stick, kind of a thing, right? The other opportunity is to get the hell out. I want to talk about that today. That's today's topic, okay? Discipline is this idea or this way of making that work, right? Understanding where you are and saying, yes, I'm going to execute my goal. I'm going to keep my emotions under control. And the strategy mindset, of course, is the connective tissue, right? This is how I'm going to do it, right? Again, folks who play the ladders, right? Their mindset, their strategy is to beat the casino with money, right? And you got to think about that. The casino beats you Well, with a couple things, right? They play on your emotions. They get you distracted, so that they're playing mind games, but they beat you with money because they have an unlimited supply, right? Effectively, they can martingale the opposite side of every bet you play. As big as you go, they can go bigger, but they cap how big you can go, right? They beat you with money. The guys that play ladder systems, Waylon, Dr. S, others, right? They're trying to beat the casino with money. They're using money as the hammer, not logic and discipline and luck, right? So to speak, right? They're trying to just say, look, mathematically speaking, I'm going to ladder, and at some point, I'm not going to lose 9 times in a row. I'm going to win one of them and be able to come back. Now, when you win the one in a ladder system, when you win the one, you're up a little bit. So think about that. When you're up a little bit, what do we do? All right. Now, I'm taking off all the upcoming events here on this page. I'm going to add some more stuff to it later on. But what's brewing right now, besides Craps for the Cure, is the Dice Cruise out of Fort Lauderdale. And again, if you want information on that, drop me an email. It's john@procraps.net. Very simple to do. All right, what's next? It's Craps for the Cure. We know this, right? It's the 13th and 14th of September, right? My birthday weekend. We're going to be at Casino Quest. We're going to stream from 11 to 7 every day, Saturday, Sunday. We have a private table after the stream over at Palace. Easy to donate. Go to crapsforthecure.com. You can attend. Attendance is $100. That's it. $100. You come both days. You will get a wristband the first day. That $100 that wristband gets you into Casino Quest. That gets you into the private table at Palace Station. That's what it's for. Okay, for $100. You can decide to say, I'm going to just target my money at specific things for the dogs. Right? I'm going to buy the dog food. I'm going to buy some collars. I'm going to buy some toys. I'm going to buy some whatever. They need crates. They need other stuff, right? You can tactically say, I'm going to buy one of the 75 necessary bags of dog food. Cool. Or you can treat yourself. You can do it PBS style, where you say if you're going to give $500, you're going to get to have a nice weekend at Palace. If you give $250, you're going to get to hang out with Tony Leo for a day. You give $1,000, you have a full session with Bo Parker. Things like that. So the direct donations to the dogs, or the I want to spend more money and get something cool out of it, for me, either way is fine. All of it goes to the puppies. Matter of fact, the treat yourself things will go more directly into the dog's training than the dog's stuff, if you think of it that way. If it costs $1,000 a week for the trainer's fees, and you buy $1,000, lesson with Bo Parker, guess what? You bought a week of training for the dogs. That's kind of how that works. All right. So there's your ways to donate. Now, the cool thing is we're talking about now things to do while we're at Craps for the Cure, because I don't want to go full interview style like we've been doing. So this year we're going to change it up a little bit. One of the things we're going to do is this thing called Play Along with the Pros. And we have some pros that are going to be there, right? You've got, obviously, David's there, right, and Alex. And we'll use them as well, but we're gonna have Bo Parker will be there. Jeff will be there, I think. Jen, of course, will be there. Craig from Old Bay Craps. Ryan from Mark the Point. Brian from Holy Roller. Leon from Great Craps. Joe from Craft Master Journey. They'll all be there, right? Plus a couple of other special guests that I know will be in person. One thing we want to do with them is play along, right? Not a competition, but I would like to throw the dice a little bit, right? You know me. I think my throw sucks, but it's fun to do. I would like to throw the dice and interview the guys and say, you know what, Jeff, go play. Let's give Jeff his normal size buy-in, not a random amount. Say, Jeff, what do you want to buy in for? He'll say $620, just probably just like Ed does, right? Or 1,000, whatever it is. Go, let's bet. And I'll throw the dice and he'll bet on camera. And we'll have other people there. Maybe David, maybe a little bit of me, maybe whoever else. And Jeff will explain his bets. Here's what I do and why. John just threw a this, John just threw a that. What I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, what I'm tasting. Here's my next bet, right? And I think we do that with Jeff and Joe and Ryan and Brian and Bo Parker and maybe some other legends coming through, right? And showing us how they bet and explaining why. Like a little clinic, a little half-hour bite-sized chunks of watching professionals or I don't want to say the elite, but the elite guys play. Let's watch what they do. Let's learn from them, right? David, of course, will do some dealing sessions with us, and I want more competitions, right? We tried to do the whole bingo thing last year. It failed miserably, but I can see us doing throwing competitions and other things that are going to be more fun to watch than me interviewing people. Now, there will be some interviews, of course, but what to watch this year is going to be more play-alongs, more learning to deal, more stuff on the table, less of this, right? I got a couple of these, right? We're going to have Heavy Haltom on remotely. We're going to have the nerd crew, me and Travis from Dicer.io and Nat from Dice Data are going to do some breakdowns. We're going to talk about how their apps work, why their apps work, and how maybe their apps might even work with what I'm trying to do with Casino Quest. So a lot of that's going to happen. All right. Cool. There's the Craps for the Cure. Now, G the other night and Mac were on, and I think we're going to kind of jump into this topic lightly here. G answered the question, right? Everybody asks this question and nobody gives a good answer. Matter of fact, when I was on the podcast with Ed and Fran, 10 Ton, they asked me a question like this, which is, how do you define DI? It's such a, I mean, I think the answer I gave them was, it's kind of like when they were doing the communist thing, like the McCarthy days, right? Like, I can't define a communist, but I know it when I see it, kind of thing. That's what DI is for me. It's like, I know what it is, but I can't really write it down. It's like, it's a mindset thing. But a lot of people, and so it's a hard question to answer. A lot of people ask this, how do you adjust at the table, right? What they're getting at most of the time is, what dice set do you choose, right? I think the people who ask this question are trying to figure out what dice set they should use. And you'll see it in chat on all these shows. Like, okay, Joe's throwing bad. He needs to change his dice set to whatever. And I think I always crack up when I see that, because you're not watching the flight, right? The dice set that you choose is supposed to marry along with what you're doing. And if today my middle finger is messing up my toss and the one die is shooting off to the right, somebody in chat telling you to switch dice sets has no idea what's going on, right? The real answer to the question is what G says here. You adjust these things as you go. And he was talking more specifics than I've ever heard anybody talk about this before, right? You go and change your landing zone, and you change your landing zone in a couple of ways, right? You can land it in the same spot. Let's say my landing zone is the actual strip that's the pass line. Maybe that's my landing zone, right? Well, I can get there low, right? And a little slower maybe, and land it on there and have it skip hard into the back wall. I can do it low and a little faster and have it really hit the bottom of the wall. I can go high arc and have it land on the pass line. I can get there many ways. So landing zone is part of it, but adjusting your velocity and the height of your dice, as well as the flight path. Maybe the flight path is straight in. Maybe it's a little on an angle, right? So people aren't seeing on shows when I'm throwing, when Jeff's throwing, when whoever else is throwing, unless we have great cameras, which is hard to get to, is how they're flying today. Sometimes today you got one that's going off. What G is saying to you is this: work on every spot of your table. You have a home table, don't just throw stick right, stick left one, right? I tend to settle into that because lots of reasons, but on camera especially, it looks better. My cameras are set up to catch my hands in certain spots, so I stick to the stick left, stick right one spots, right? But really, what you should be doing is standing around the table at different spots, and he even recommends measuring. Like, he measures the table at his local, the inside dimensions of it, and he puts duct tape on his. I've been to his house. There's tape on his table around the rail that matches up to those dimensions. So he knows that stick left one at this casino is this piece of tape on his table. That's where he stands, not at stick left one on his own table. You follow me? That's the level of intricacy that he goes to. When somebody asks you the difference between a pro and an amateur, or what does a pro craps player look like, that's what it looks like. Now, whether you believe in DI or not, I really don't care, right? But the way that he approaches that was to buy a measuring thing, go to the casino, measure the freaking table, go home and put tape off where the thing is, and that's where he works from. That's the kind of thing a pro does. The kind of thing that I do is I go, all right, close enough, and I just work it, right? There's a difference there, right? There's a level of detail there that he's going through that I think most people don't consider. From each spot, and I've been at his house. I've watched him throw. From that piece of tape, he will throw it low, low, and low, and he will groove in a shot that goes this high off the table, 6 inches off the table, hits that landing spot, and trickles in. He'll work a medium-sized shot on a different angle. Instead of going straight in, he'll go to a 30-degree angle or a 20-degree angle. He'll work that shot. He'll work the drop shot or a higher arcing shot from every spot on his table religiously. So he knows that if he gets to a table that is the same distance but a different surface, he can adjust. His adjustment is not dice set and a Hail Mary like it is for me. His adjustment literally is 4 or 5 different shot heights, 4 or 5 different velocities, 4 or 5 different landing zones. And he can go high, slow, deep, high, fast, short. He can do whatever he wants to, right? That's the practice piece, right? That's the difference between him and most of us, between probably Ed, who does this, I'm sure, the same way, and most of us, between George from CY and most of us. That's the difference, right? How do you adjust at the table? It's not going, oh, I'm seeing a bunch of horn numbers, I better change my set. That's not the only answer. The first answer is getting your dice to behave the way you expect them to. And then when they're doing what you expect, then you look at how that table and wall are need a different set. There's a two-phase piece to that. You all just keep looking at what dice set should I use. It's deeper than that. Get them to work for it. And I'll give you the example, right? And Jen, you're in chat, so Jen backed me up on this. When I was at not Palace. What station were we at? Durango, not Durango, whatever. It doesn't matter. I can't remember the name of the casino now. Anyway, we were at Big AC's filming, right? And I kept saying to you, my shot looks fucking awesome. Like when I did my shot, I'm like, man, that's beautiful. I love those tables. It was a great table, right? My landing zone was perfection. Hit the back wall and literally died. I'm like, that's a beautiful shot. 7 out, right? I PSO'd 3 times in a row on 3 perfect shots. Right? What I had, Santa Fe, thank you. What I had was perfect mechanics, the perfect flight, the perfect velocity, the perfect everything from where I was. I needed to change my dice set, right? I was dialed into the table. That table is the same table that I have over at Palace. Same distance, same hardness, same everything, right? Beautiful shots, ugly results, right? That's when you go to dice set, right? But if your shot is beautiful in the air, but it goes kaboom at the end, your dice set doesn't fucking matter. If it's going to go all over the kittywampus, right? That's the thing. So G's talking about, don't even worry about having numbers. Who cares what the numbers are? Don't worry about the numbers when you're practicing. Get your action figured out. Once you have, if I can get the dice to do the same thing off the back wall, whether I throw it high or low or deep or shallow, which he can do. I've seen him go high, low, very deep, very shallow. And at the end of all of those different throw types from the same spot, the dice are 2 inches from the back wall and together within like a lid. The dice are within this little tiny area, like a tiny, tiny area, no matter where he throws from. No matter how high, low, fast, or slow the throw is, he can get the dice to go boop, boop, and die right where he wants them. Then you look at the set and say, based on this distance, velocity, whatever, the dice are going to spin more often, whatever. Now you start monkeying with sets. That's the difference. That's what his show is about. If you haven't seen the show, go back and watch it again. I'm kind of summarizing what he said, and I'm sort of filtering in what I saw at his house and how he and I spoke. Go back and rewatch that show now with this lens. It's such an important thing to grok from what he shows there. All right. So that's my talk about that show. You've got to go watch it. You got to go watch it. And again, lean into the idea of being perfect practicing and practicing the right things, right? You're exactly right. He has a lifetime of practice. Most people are working towards it. I say it all the time. I'm a neophyte at this, right? I played craps my entire life and never knew that the toss mattered. I watched people dice set and I was like, fuck, just go get on with it. I used to get annoyed by them, right? Because I didn't know. I had no idea. Only when COVID happened did I start digging in and going, oh, this is a real thing. I've been at this for like 3 years, right? I'm going to get to that point. But I'll tell you what, man, it's hard to find the hours of a day that it takes to get that good. It really does. All right, so let's see. John Crossan, I wish I had a good dice coach on your mini suite cruise. Oh, there you go. My free cruise is for 2, so dice coach will get a free cruise. Hey, offer it up, man. You never know. You never know. You may have to share a room with him now. That'd be a little bit weird. All right, Rick Farmer says, John Kokas can sit with all the cruises with a bunch of dice people as well as the coaches. There we go. There is a dice cruise in October, Rick, and there's a dice cruise in February. I'll be on the one in February. How you doing, by the way? I know you're in the middle of recovery, so maybe just give me a thumbs up in the chat there. All right, what else do we have to talk about here today? Oh, you know what I want to talk about? The question of the day. I asked you all this question. I don't have a screen for it, I don't think, do I? I asked you a question. I'm going to go to the questions and answers. Hold on. Where's my screen there? I'm going to go here. The question that I asked you was, how many times are you up? Think about that for a minute. I've made this. Ooh, Jen's in February. I've made this statement before, right? And in the chat, I don't really see how this works. I'm doing like the questions thing on the chat. I don't see that anybody's answer. Oh, skill does. 95%. Okay. I guess you have to hit the drop down to get there. Anyway, 95% of the time, skill and luck is up. Matter of fact, I think skill said it's the rare time that he doesn't get up. Right? Can you all agree with that? Could everybody agree that on some level, every time you go to the casino, you're up for a little bit? Even like winning your first bet, which for me is a rarity. It seems like it's a freaking rarity, right? Like winning my first bet's hard to do. But if you win your first bet, you're technically up, right? Even if you went out there 6-6 inside and the guy throws a 9, you're like, cool, drop your dollar, go to 88. You're technically up at that point, right? Can everybody here say that at some point in 95 to skills point set of your sessions, you're up? Rare is the time when you go in and lose your first bet. And well, Jen says I often start negative and never break even. That's kind of rare though, right? I mean, at some point, even when you're start down a little bit, you fight back and you're up a little bit here. The thing I'm trying to get to is this. I'm going to work with Matt on this, on Dice Data, is finding out what it really means to be up and what does money management really mean in our lives. Like if you played and you were up and you walked, no matter how many dollars you were up every time, if you went to casino every day for a year and you were up 10, 15, 20 bucks, maybe 100, whatever it is, on your first time you got up on a shooter and you walked out of there, what would your life look like? How would your gambling life, what would your gambling life look like to you? Now it would be boring because you might win the first bet and have to leave. But remember this, I gave you this challenge a long time ago, right? I dare you to drive to the casino with $100, win $10 and come home. And it's hard to do that, okay? But if you think about it, if you're up a bet or 2 or 3 bets every time you go, and you say, okay, I can, if I buy them for $500, I go up by $21 and I'm out, right? Okay, buy them for $1,000 and win $220 and get out. Make that first bet bigger. We talk about bankroll as a leverage. Make your bankroll bigger, your buy-in bigger, your first win bigger, and get out with a meaningful amount of money and boogie on, right? That's an interesting concept. And I math guys will tell you, John's full of shit right now. There's no way that's a real thing. Blah, blah, blah. The math will get you in the end. I understand that, right? I understand odds are working and PJ Strong and myopia and all my friends will tell me that's stupid, right? Money management doesn't matter. In the end, the math will get you. I will tell you this. The casinos think differently. The casinos hate it when you leave when you're up. They hate people who leave when they're up. They want you to play more. More money, more time, more games. They want you to play more, not less. When you play less, that's the person that they'll never give a comp to. That's the person that never gets a free dinner. They get no free play. They get no love, other than the dealers love you because you tip on your way out, right? They fear you a little bit. They don't like it when you have discipline and money management skills. They do not like it. And there's a reason why they don't like it. And I have it on good authority that they don't fucking like it. And there's a reason for that. Because that's the person that bleeds them dry, right? That's your, I don't want to say house edge. They have the edge on you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% on every single bet. When you do that, and they bleed you dry on that, when you leave when you're up every time, you're bleeding them. If everybody bled them a little bit, it'd be different. It'd be different. Anyway, that's my question to you. How often are you up when you go play? John always has the free play, right? Always has the free play. Ken says the real question about DI, will they accept small wins or think they are great and lose? I've said this a million times, right? If I were to open a casino, and by the way, we had this, Ken and I had this exact talk the other day on the phone. If I owned a casino, you all know this, right? I would make edgeless craps. I'd create a new game called edgeless craps. Not crapless craps, edgeless craps. I'd let all the box numbers pay true. They'd all pay true odds, every one of them, right? You know, you get paid 9 for 6 on the 5 and 9. You get paid 6 to 5 on the 6 and 8. I pay you true odds up top. Because here's what I know. I know that the 6 and 8 house edge right now 1.4 and change. The pass line 1.4 and change. The don't pass 1.3 and change, right? We know the small house edge of all the normal bets. But David told us from his casino buddies, what is the hold on a craps table? It's 16%, right? It's not because everybody's making high house edge bets, because they're making stupid decisions. I know that if I gave you true odds all over the table, you'd bet like a fucking maniac and you'd give it all back because the dice will take your money. The casino's bleeding you dry. The dice are what's taking your money. I know that people are dumbasses, right? That statistic proves it. The house edge on that game is 1 to 2% on most bets, yet people are losing 16% on average. That's the hold. That tells you all you need to know about people. That's why I say if you left when you're up, right, you are flipping that metric a little bit. So yeah, to Ken's question, do DIs bet like crazy people or do they get up and get out? I will tell you this, Gargoyle is a get up and get out guy. Gargoyle is looking and he works hours and hours and hours on that shot because he wants 6 rolls. Like I used to say, give me 6 rolls. He goes 640 across. He takes 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. He wins his $500. He takes his bets off the fucking table. He goes out there for 160 across and lets it happen. And if it happens, it happens. If not, he walks. That is a DI. That's what he does. He's not trying for the million roll hand. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 hits because he knows he can do it, or he thinks he can do it, or he's practiced to do it. Those hits give him 500 in profit and enough to go back out to finish off his roll. And if he finishes off his roll strong, he'll make a whole lot more. And if he doesn't, he taps the hell out and goes home. That's discipline. That's money management. That's using the dice as a tool and his bankroll as a hammer. He goes out 640 because he has the bankroll to do it. And that hammer gives him enough leverage to win the $500 he wants for the day. That's smart. That's smart. You got me? All right. What else we have in here? Rick says, excellent point. I love when these people talk about house edge. They don't really know what it means. Yeah, the dice take your money, dude. It's not the house edge. The house edge does take your money. It's the bleed. And I'm okay with the bleed, but don't be a dumbass. People are just dumbasses, and that's what happens. Chasing the wins, right? Chasing the wins. No, not the 8-hit. Just the box. Just the box. Just the box. The box bets will be edgeless. Everything else will stay normal, right? The regular, the hopping, all that shit. The edgeless up top. That's it. That's it. I'm not a total idiot, Jen. I mean, I'm an idiot, but I'm not a total idiot. Jen's going to go back to DGE style because he is about the little wins, right? DGE is all about the small wins adding up. You miss out on the monsters, right? the monsters are very small in number. They don't happen that often, right? It's good to make sure that you're set up to be there when it happens. But if you're always playing for that, you're going to bleed away, and that's where the 16% hold comes from, right? Find ways to make it matter. Find ways to be in the game, but also always pulling and saving. That's an important thing. I will win half of what somebody else wins on a monster roll, but I'll win 3 or 4 times as much as they do on the short rolls. And I think that the 8, 9, 10 short rolls to the one decent 15 plus roller, if I'm profiting all that way and somebody else is losing all that way and they win big over here, at the end, our bankrolls may look the same. Likely they don't. Likely I'm going to be ahead, and that's just my way, right? Again, go back to the bridge. 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 You do it your way. Ken says it all the time. It's a you problem, right? Failing to have the right bankroll, failing to understand how you see risk, failing to identify when it's time to leave or lean in, failing to have discipline, failing to set a goal, failing to keep your emotions in check, failing to have a practiced, trustworthy strategy, and failing to have a strong mind. All of that, Ken, is a you problem. There, I said it. It's a you problem. Those things are for you to dial into and lean into. Those things all go counter to what the casino wants to see out of you. That's an important thing for everybody. That's why I show it every single day. I can sit here and show you how to triple lux your way to table max, right? That works for some people. If you're bluff and you got $100,000 because your YouTube videos are making $100,000 a week and you want to light it on fire, fucking light it on fire. If you're John and you're making enough money to pay your mortgage and a little bit extra, you ain't doing that. That's what I'm talking about. You got to be into your own head and don't make it a you problem. Ken says a person is smart, people are stupid. I totally agree with that. John Cross, what is DGE? So DGE is like do we don't. It's a 6 and 8. It's a one hit and turn your bets off thing. And it's a little bit of a ladder as you go, but it's one hit and stop, one hit and stop. And he waits for conditions to be what he wants to see, right? And he turns them off. That's an important way. It's boring, but guess what? It wins. You know what I mean? If you take your mindset away from, I don't need to hit the monster. Once you divest yourself or get out of the mindset of, I'm here to win the monster, right? And you're chasing the 50 roller. Once you leave that world and go, I'm going to win something on this shooter. I'm going to put out $66 or $96. And my goal with the $96 is to win 50. Take 96 across, take 3 hits, turn my shit off. It's $50 on that guy. And just let it happen around you. Let it all go. You want to put a whatever, $12 6 out there for some fun, fine. Right? And repeat and repeat and repeat. Once in a while, you get whacked for the $96. It's going to happen to you. But if you go 50, 50, 50, lose 90, 50, 50, 50, lose 90, 50, 50, 50, lose 90, you're up $200. The rest of the table that was chasing the hot streak, they've lost $96 5-6 times. There's a difference to that. The casino hates the guy that recognizes when he's up and stops playing. So be careful. The most boring strats are the most consistent. I agree with you there. Let's see. I think that's all that I have today. I don't see any more questions. Did I miss a question? Just make sure I didn't miss anything. The thoughts on the $15 pass line parlay versus 555 as a side bet. Oh boy. I will tell you this: the $15 pass line parlay will hit more often, and if you make it 3, it'll really hit more often. Right? Can I put the camera down real quick? Let me just show people what this is. I'm going to go, and I'll put the question back up again. I can't pin it, but I'm going to put that up while I change the layout here. There's the table. Hold on. Let me move my shit out the way. Straighten her up. Let's get some money out here. Let me do, I'll get the white chips out because it doesn't matter what color the chips are. Pretend these chips can be anything you want them to be. They can be greens, they can be reds, they can be blacks, whatever you feel like. But let's say, for $15, right, it's a 3-unit bet. It's 3 $5 checks, okay? Let's put that on the pass line. And let's do a 3-legger, okay? So the first one hits for $3 or for 3 units, right? And you press it up. And the second one hits for now 6 units, and you press it up. And the third one Heaven forbid hits for all of that. Now, how much money did you win if you catch it 3 times? Okay, let's take our 3 units that we started with off of that, right? Let's say these are $15. You won 15, 25, 50, 75, $105. Okay, $105 on a 3-leg pass line parlay. Now, if you go 4 legs like I have been doing, that doubles up again, right? But 3 legs is doable, right? 11, 7, set a point, hit a point. 7, 7, 11, who cares after that, right? If you hit the third one, $105. That's not shabby. Now, if these are single units, just say that it's a $25 bet. And again, 25, stack it. 2 units, stack it. The third one is the win, and you walk out of there with 175. That's a great little play, right? For $25, you win 175. I guarantee you, in air quotes, I guarantee you in air quotes, that if you did that $25 pass line bet, 3-leg parlay on everybody around the table, on every single shooter around the entire table, you'll hit this at least once, maybe twice. 3 is nothing. 3-leg parlay is nothing on the pass line, right? That's 175. If you're going 5-5-5, right, and you get one side of it, what does one side of it pay, right? About the same. About the same. It pays 150 actually. It pays a little less, right? One side of the ATS pays a little bit less than the parlay. The parlay is easier to hit. It pays a little bit more. This is more exciting. This is more fun. This gets all the high fives. This right here, everybody goes, why is that maniac stacking up all his fucking bets like an idiot, right? This wins more often to me than that. I cannot prove it other than to say I've seen it, right? This is the kind of thing where I want to get somebody who has a computer and a brain like our Dice Data friend to go through and put that to the computer. Whoop, wrong camera view. Put that on his computer and say, is John full of crap or not? But I'm telling you, 3-leg parlay on the pass line, that happens multiple times all the time. I see that thing happen constantly. And like I went for the 4-leg on the cruise. I did hit it a couple times, but I hit 3 legs probably 10 times and never got the 4th hit. That's a doable thing, in my opinion. All right. Well, most casinos let you set don't come bets and place them. They will, but tribal casinos won't do it. They're in Washington. They're starting to not let you do it. You can't do a do-we don't. You won't get any love on that, right? What they're saying now, I saw it. Where was I? I don't want to lie to you and tell you the wrong casino. I was in Vegas the last time, and somebody was doing this. They were playing the whatever the one where you set the 3-point blender or whatever the hell it was, right? Doing something like that, similar to that. And the casino made him offset them by table minimum. So in other words, if you have a $30 don't come and it goes to the 5, let's say, right? They would have to bet the 5. If they were going to place bet it, they had to have an offset of $10 of table minimum so that you could only place it for up to 20 or for 20. You had to have the offset to make it, they wanted table minimum risk on every single bet is what they were trying to get to. So that was the rules. I don't know. To me, the do-we don't and that kind of system, they're going to end up getting cut off. The casinos will eventually stop doing things where you can lock up a win. They're going to stop doing it. They're going to stop allowing it to happen. And that's just the way it is. And in that case, a $30 don't and a $20 5, you're going to lose $2 or win $10. You have money at risk. Okay, so there's that. All right. Let's see. G, George, and Ed and Joe all said they learned to set the dice quickly. I think you're talking about the timing, right? That's important. I practice that too, actually. Most people look at the dice coming to them and they say, when they're coming at you, you already know how you're going to flip and turn them. Like, know the dice well enough to make that stuff happen fast. All right. I think that's everything, folks. I got to get out of here. Time for the old JOB to take control. So, good discussions, I hope, today. Maybe give you something to think about. Yeah, tomorrow I'll see you again at the regular time at 7:15 Monday we'll go back to my real time 7:30. So my mistake. Tomorrow we're going to talk about some of the interviews that I'm planning to have at Crash for the Cure, who I've got lined up so far and what the topics are, and we'll talk more about this money management idea. We're going to I'll lean into it a little bit. We'll do some maybe we'll do some samples out here on the felt. So that said, remember this before you leave, right? It's not about your resources, it's about your resourcefulness. What do you do with what you have is the most important thing. Again, it works here. Use my 96 to make 50, right? In your life, how do you use your resources to the best? Everybody's got access to resources. Not everybody is very resourceful. That's an important differentiator, again, between them and you. All right? Love you all. God bless. Thank you very much. And I will see you in the morning. Bye all.